You know, I just hit you people in the head like New Jack doing a run in ECW '98, and now I gotta hit you in the head again with Big Daddy Nash. I just uploaded the video of Kevin Nash and his infamous burial of Brian Clark, aka the Atom Bomb, aka the Wrath. Hold on, I got a drink already. Kevin Nash making people drink. Mm. Oh man, that tastes just like Kimberly Page. Mm. All right, here we go. Here we go. Kevin Nash. I've eaten lovely off his carcass, and I will continue to do such. Now, check out the video I just uploaded on the channel. How Kevin Nash buried Wrath. Very unnecessary. And really, that's the worst type of burial. One that's unnecessary. You see, burying people in wrestling, initially it started out as this person did something and they need to be punished. Now, the natural nature of wrestling is nonsense and carnyism and carnivalism and bullying, but why would you punish somebody on national TV? I have another video about what I just said, of the countless examples of, okay, why would you publicly embarrass somebody? Why don't you handle things behind the scenes? No, we can't do that. But that's one form of burying. One form of burying people in wrestling is, let's, squash you in a match or whatever the case, or put you in an embarrassing storyline because you did something behind the scenes. Okay, great. That's one form. Another form is the Kevin Nash form, which is, this guy's getting over too fast. Let me kill that now. And you think it stopped with Wrath? Hell no. Now, continuing Big Daddy Cool's Big Sexy's path of destruction, we stay in WCW. You see, in WWF, Nash was not a real political player like that. If you watch his interviews with RF Video or kayfabe commentaries, Nash loves to talk about the Clique has so much power. No. Shawn Michaels had power. You were just around him. Razor Ramon was just around him. Triple H was carrying the bags and the Soma box. He was carrying the Soma bottles. Good Lord. Anyway, Nash had a little bit of influence, but Shawn Michaels had the real power. Now, Nash, he couldn't really bury anybody when he was in the WWF in 94, 95. He couldn't really do it. Shawn Michaels could. I'd say Razor Ramon had more power than Nash. Just because they gave him the belt, that don't mean he had power. But when you get to WCW, he certainly positioned himself in a political position. Certainly. And he could get anything done he pretty much wanted to. As well as Scott Hall. There's an infamous story where Jericho talks about how Scott Hall threatened him that, Scott Hall was going to destroy his little push in like 97, 98, whatever the case. But Kevin Nash, he wanted to destroy anybody who was possibly rising in the company, and he can't deny that, even though he always will to this day. And when you get to 2000, oh my Lord, the worst television I've ever seen. WCW in 2000. Now, in mid-2000, WCW, Vince Russo, who's doing a million things, throwing a million ideas at the wall, seeing what sticks, that old saying, they bring in Lance Storm from ECW. Now, Lance Storm was a good technician, a good athlete, good physique. I always loved Lance Storm's, kind of like dry personality. I always thought it was funny when he was like, if I could be serious for a moment, because obviously the joke is he's always serious. Why would you have to be serious for a moment? You're serious every moment. It was hilarious to me. Now, fast forward, Lance Storm would leave wrestling and become a Dave Meltzer nut hugger and Brian Alvarez dick slurper. But, that's not part of this story, so far. But let's remember, Lance Storm was one of these people who was giving information to the newsletters. He's one of those people. Pillman was doing it. Heyman was always close with Meltzer. Yeah, these are the people giving the information to Meltzer. Also on this channel, look up on this channel, I exposed Dave Meltzer's sources over the years, and Lance Storm is in that list. Okay, a lot of these wrestlers were mid-carders who would complain, and after a Raw taping or a Nitro taping in the 90s, they'd be up at 2 in the morning calling Meltzer in San Jose. Oh, they're doing this, they're not pushing me, I don't like this person. Yeah, go look up that video, exposing Dave Meltzer's sources. But when Nash, excuse me, is in WCW in 2000, you know, Nash didn't care about the company. He has interviews saying that him and Hall wanted to leave WCW in 97 because they weren't getting their way. In other words, we couldn't bury Hogan. So by 2000, he didn't care. If you remember, he was in the worst physical shape Nash was ever in was in 2000. He was big, he was lazy, he wasn't tanning, he wasn't working out, he's drinking beers before the show, during the show. There were shows where he's walking to the ring with a beer in his hand. Big lazy. Making all the money, doing none of the work. Shout out to Sting. Anyway. And Lance Storm came in, and Lance Storm was someone, like I said, good wrestler, good technician. He was always professional. And Lance Storm, when he came to WCW, he was ready to work, and they pushed him tremendously. There was a point where they gave damn near every belt to Lance Storm. I think he was a U.S. champion, and then he renamed it the Canadian title or something. He was a TV champion. What was he? Did they give him the cruiserweight belt? He had like 3-4 belts at one time. It was like an insane push. And who do you think destroyed that push? Big Daddy Cool. So they're pushing Lance Storm, much like the Wrath video. Go watch that video. Lance Storm comes in the company. He's getting a hell of a push. He's winning. He's getting some interview time. He's in a featured role. They give him 1 belt, 2 belt, 3 belt, every belt. And then what happens? I never had a problem with Storm, but I need that win. So I'm gonna face Lance and I'm gonna put the kid over. Plot twist. When Kevin Nash tells you, I'm going to put you over, that somehow means he's going over. Yeah, he's getting over just by being in the ring with me. Yeah, he's getting the rub. He's getting the rub, the kid, and that's Kevin Nash's mind. I'm putting you over because you're in the ring with me. That's the Kevin Nash. That's the Kevin Nash psychology. I'm not going to let you beat me clean. No, I'm going to beat your brains in. Stop your winning streak. Stop your push. And that's what happens. Nash faced Lance Storm. Jackknife 1, 2, 3. And then Lance Storm loses all the belts. He slowly goes down the card. He's a mid-card comedy act with Major Guns and Elix Skipper. And for the rest of 2001, Lance Storm just becomes another guy on the roster. Meaningless storylines, goofiness. I think they try to make Jim Duggan a member of Team Canada. I never understood that one. And that's what happens. When you have momentum, Nash steps in the way, he squashes that, and then you dwindle down the card. There went your potential. There went your future, son. That's the Kevin Nash experience. Tell me how it's not. Big Daddy Cool. Honky Tonk Man coined the phrase big lazy, which is that's the perfect moniker to me. Kevin Nash was always selfish. He was always about himself. He was a cutthroat. Now, you could say that's just the nature of the business of wrestling. Maybe that's just the nature of entertainment, period. But that doesn't mean it was necessary. But he did this countless times to countless people. Let's not even get into when he was the booker in 99. Good Lord. With that said, I'm up out of here. XDN wins. If you want to support the channel, if you have a video request, you can donate to the Cash App. It's $XDN online. The link is in the description of this video. If you want to support the channel also, you can click the join button and add a channel membership. That's much appreciated. So much more history to come. on Big Daddy Nash, it's going to be a fountain of information that I give to you people. With that said, that is it. Check out my latest uploads. Uh, it's just amazing. It's just the insecurity of a Kevin Nash, the insecurity of wrestlers. You're a top guy, but you're so insecure about a new guy reaching that level and maybe replacing you, even though I don't think they're going to replace Nash with Lance Storm. But that's the insecurity, the paranoia. It's so unmanly, but maybe that's just the nature of the wrestling business. You know, another great example of this, I might have to hit you people in the head with this one. Maybe somebody donate for this one, maybe. Randy Orton did this same thing to Kofi Kingston. I got to make a video about that one. I'm up out of here.